Good morning, my friends. Can you tell how fresh I feel this morning? I got to bed super late last night, well, at least late for me. I wasn't in bed until almost midnight. I was out for dinner with friends, and then I got home. I had to take Pi on a big walk. So I got to bed late, and I am really not feeling myself, at least not just yet. I actually had to go back to bed this morning. I was supposed to wake up at 7:30. One of my goals this year was to become more of a morning person, which 7:30 for me is early. I know it's not early for a lot of people, but my brain doesn't start working until 9 a.m., which doesn't mean that I used to wake up at 9 a.m., but I would wake up at like 8. I would have a slow start to the morning, but I have really been trying to wake up earlier and earlier, especially when I have Pi and he's not staying with his other dad. I want to make sure that he gets to go out as early as possible. So I have been trying to wake up at 7:30 every single day. It doesn't matter what time I go to bed, whether it's the weekend or not. I have been trying to stay consistent with that. But this morning I could not get out of bed until like 7:45, 7:50. I had to take Pi on a walk, who, by the way, is just having his breakfast now. And I am actually waiting on a couple of packages. I bought myself something from Cartier and Loro Piana to celebrate me getting into college, which I'm so excited to share with you. Both of those should be arriving at some point today. And I also want to introduce you to a new addition to my beauty routine, something that I had briefly mentioned before, which I'm really excited for. So I thought we could just spend the morning together and slowly recover. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like I was out partying. I just went out for dinner and I don't even drink. But I feel like the older I get, I just feel hungover waking up, even if I stay out late. And again, I wasn't even out that late, but it just shows you what a grumpy old man I am becoming. But anyway, I thought we could just hang out this morning. I already had breakfast because you do not want to talk to me on an empty stomach. I am extremely hungry in the morning, which it's so funny. I don't know how some people can do intermittent fasting and not eat in the morning. You do not want to talk to me before I have a cup of tea and a slice of toast. I have the same breakfast every single day, a slice of toast with almond butter and low sugar or sugar-free jam, which I'm pretty sure I filmed myself making my breakfast. So I am slowly coming back to myself. I'm gonna go take a shower, introduce you to my new beauty routine, and then hopefully I should have the packages here sooner rather than later. I'm so excited for one of the pieces because it's something that I haven't seen before. I never had the chance to see it in person, so I just blind bought it online. And then the other piece from Cartier is something that I have been toying with the idea of picking up, but I could never find it in the right size, in the right colorway, because it does come in several different colors. So I hope it's going to work out. I ordered it in the smallest size that they had available, so we'll see. Let's find out together. But if you'd like to spend a little bit of time with me this morning, then make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet, and keep on watching. You have an orange heart? You have an orange heart. You have an orange heart. Thank you. Thank you for sharing it with me. Baba. Your orange heart. Your orange heart. Okay, I'm really gonna go take a shower now. Okay, I'm starting to feel a little bit more like a sentient being. I took a shower, even though I'm not usually a morning shower person. What about you guys? Do you take a shower in the morning or in the evening? I always take a shower at night before going to bed, but whenever I'm not feeling like myself, I like to take a shower in the morning too. I'm having some homemade sweet tea, sugar-free of course, because I don't like to make the blanket statement that I don't eat sugar, because that's not true. Every now and again, if I go out for dinner with friends or if I go to a restaurant that's known for a specific dessert, of course I'll have a bite with someone else just because I don't want to ruin someone else's experience. And I do enjoy a little bit of a treat every now and again. But long story short, I do not have any refined sugar in my apartment. There is nothing with refined sugar coming in here. Artificial sweeteners, I'm all for, and I know some people will say it's not good for you either, but you have to pick your poison. I don't drink, I don't smoke cigarettes, so for me, artificial sweeteners are my thing, or stevia or xylitol or something like that, although I don't like xylitol either because obviously I have pie and dogs should not be around xylitol. Anyway, I'm using some sweet tea to bring me back to life, and I wanted to tell you about this treatment that I have been doing. I actually just finished it after taking a shower, which is a new laser hair removal treatment. Now, I did a video, I think it was last year, on all the treatments that I've ever had done, and in that video I mentioned that I had been doing laser hair removal at a clinic. Thankfully, I don't have too much body hair, but I'm quite pale, as you can tell, and my hair is dark, so the contrast is really quite stark, which is why I was really into getting laser hair removal, but getting it done at a clinic is not only incredibly painful, but it's also quite expensive. I have just finished an 8-course treatment, which is what is usually recommended, and I have to be honest with you, I was pretty happy with the results. But this last treatment that I had done, long story short, was not the greatest experience. The clinic that I was going to, they went through some changes. They got a brand new management and a whole new team, and I really did not appreciate their approach. Let's just leave it at that. But I was initially planning on moving ahead with getting treatment done on other parts of my body, because my initial treatment was on my back, my shoulders, and my upper arms, and I wanted to slowly move down my entire body and get everything treated. Now, coincidentally, as it was happening at the clinic, JOVS Beauty reached out to me, a beauty tech brand that I worked with before. You may remember that I recently talked about their LED mask, which I am still a huge fan of. And JOVS asked me if I would be open to testing their hair removal device, which is called the Venus Pro 2, which is their most high-tech, state-of-the-art hair removal device. And it's something that I had actually been wanting to try, but I never had the chance to pick it up. So when they asked me if I would be open to testing it, of course I had to say yes, and I have been testing it for the past almost 3 weeks, and I am already pretty impressed with some of the results that I'm seeing. So this portion of today's video is kindly being sponsored by JOVS Beauty. Now, if you have never heard of an at-home hair removal device, the Venus Pro 2 is one of the most powerful, pain-free, and actually safest at-home hair removal devices that features something called IPL technology to get rid of unwanted hair anywhere on your body. And what I appreciate is that it promises to deliver results in as little as 3 weeks. Now, I'm not saying that you'll completely get rid of all your body hair in 3 weeks, but you can start seeing results. So for example, I have been working on my chest, my upper body, and also my armpits. I feel like we're getting really personal here, but I mean, we're amongst friends. So those are the areas that I have been working on, and I feel like you can already see, well, I don't feel like it, I can already tell that on my chest, the hair is getting quite patchy, which is what you want to see. You want to start seeing the hair slowly not only getting thinner and lighter, but you also want to start seeing sort of patches disappearing, which is not the prettiest look, but I'm really happy to see that because that means that there is progress there. So this morning I only did my armpits because it's something that I can do quite often. It is completely pain-free, and my armpits I can do 2 to 3 times a week, which is what is recommended with an at-home hair removal device. Obviously, if you're getting it done at a clinic, it is going to be a lot more intense, a lot more painful, a lot more expensive, which means that you can only actually get treatments done every 4 to 6 weeks. So it is going to take a lot longer for you to see results because you can only go to get the treatment done every 4 to 6 weeks, whereas this you can use in the privacy of your own home multiple times a week. Now, obviously, because it is slightly weaker than an in-clinic device, it is going to take you a little bit longer to see results, but it doesn't mean that it's any less effective. In fact, even if you get in-clinic treatments done, the results are not going to be fully permanent. You will have to go back. Some people have to go back twice a year, while others can get away with just going back once a year to sort of remind their body to get rid of all that unwanted hair. So even if you've had in-clinic treatments done, this I think is something that you would still find really useful in your at-home kit, just so if you see any hair coming back, you can quickly get rid of those with a snap. Now, the first thing that I asked before I started testing this is safety. This device is completely FDA cleared, and it also comes with goggles, which I really appreciate. The way you would use this is you want to take a shower or you want to use this on clean skin. I personally like to take a shower before using this. You do not want to have any deodorant or any lotion on your skin. You want to shave right before that because you do not want any longer hairs on your skin. And what's really smart about this device is that it actually features 6 smart modes for 6 different body parts. So all you have to do is select the body part that you want to treat, and the device will know exactly what sort of light and laser it should be using on that body part. And then you can also choose from 6 different intensity levels. Depending on which area you treat, you definitely want to build it up slowly, but I usually use something between 5 and 6. But as I mentioned, I am already used to the feeling of using a hair removal device, but I can go up to 6 and it is completely pain-free. If you want to know what it feels like, well, on some parts of my body, I don't feel anything, while on others, the closest thing I could compare it to is almost like a rubber band snapping against your skin. You feel this tiny bit of snap for the briefest of seconds, and that is it. And what makes this, in my opinion, a lot more comfortable to use than the devices that they use in clinic is the sapphire glass technology. So it has this huge sapphire ice cooling head, which keeps the temperature at 5 Celsius, which means that there's basically no pain and you don't get overheated while using this device. In fact, you can go ahead, treat your entire body, and you can still touch the glass afterwards because it stays cold the entire time, which I really appreciate because I hate being hot. So I really just find this device all around an amazing piece to invest in, and it's also aesthetically pleasing. Another feature that I think you'll really appreciate is this head. I have never actually seen any other device that does this, but the head actually rotates and you can move it in any direction that you need it to, so you can get into every single nook and cranny without basically breaking your wrist. So I think it is just a really cool device to have in your kit. As I mentioned, you can choose from 6 different settings depending on which body part you want to treat, and one of the features is actually something called the SR, which I think stands for skin rejuvenation. I have not actually had that treatment done just because I haven't felt the need to. I have just been so happy with the hair removal in and of itself that I didn't feel that I need additional rejuvenation. But you do also have that in case you want to calm, soothe, and refresh your skin after one of your hair removal treatments. And you definitely want to make sure that you patch test before you start using this device. And they also have a chart on their website just to clarify who this device is safe for, because by the nature of the technology, if you have a darker, deeper complexion, it might not be able to read the difference between your skin and your hair. So you want to make sure that you check that device, because obviously you want to make sure that it is going to be safe for you to use. But what's great about this is that if it doesn't have skin contact, or if it cannot read the difference between your skin tone and the hair that you're trying to get rid of, it will actually not go off. So it is really cleverly designed, and I am just a huge fan, and I really cannot wait to continue my hair removal journey. I know it's going to make my life so much easier, not having to book those appointments at the clinic, going all the way there. You cannot work out right after, you cannot take a shower for a little bit. So it is just a little bit of a hassle getting those treatments done in clinic. They are expensive, they are quite painful, whereas this I can use anytime I want in the privacy of my own home. and you can also use it more regularly. Now, JOVS Beauty was kind enough to give me an amazing discount code. I think you should be able to get 60% off using my discount code, which I will make sure to link in the info box for you. So if you're interested in giving it a try or just doing a little bit more research on this, everything will be listed and linked in the info box. And a huge thank you to JOVS Beauty again for working with me on a portion of today's video. I really love working with them because I have been incredibly impressed with their devices. I am going to go ahead, finish my tea, hang out with Pi for a little bit. I do have to edit a video for you guys that should be going live tomorrow, and then we'll just wait for our packages to arrive so we can unbox them together. It is much later in the day. I basically spent the entire day editing my last video for you, which at this point is definitely live. It was my video on popular Hermes pieces that people believe to be a shortcut to a quota bag. So if you would like to just chat about some really eccentric, over-the-top Hermes pieces, which, let me tell you, a little spoiler here, none of these will get you a bag on the spot. But if you would like to look at some really eccentric, over-the-top Hermes pieces and hear my thoughts on them, then I will make sure to have that video linked up here for you. And I have everything here. We have the packages that I've been waiting for. So I have something from Loro Piana, Cartier, and then I also have something else to show you, which I have just found out is actually on sale for the next 2 weeks. So I wanted to bring your attention to these pieces. Anyway, let's dive straight into the unboxing. And I think we should start with the piece that I bought from Loro Piana, because this is something that I haven't actually had the chance to see before. Even though there is now a Loro Piana boutique in Amsterdam, I have to be honest with you, I've only been once, because that one time I went, I had a great experience. The staff was really nice, but they really didn't have too much for me to try on. Most pieces that they had for men were in much bigger sizes. I am usually a 44, 46 in Loro Piana, and I think the smallest sizes that they had was like a 48, maybe even a 50, which I just didn't feel like going back since I couldn't try on anything the first time I went, which doesn't mean that those things have not been restocked. Anyway, long story short, I have not been back, so I just decided I would order this online. And it is actually a bag. I haven't actually bought a bag from Loro Piana before, even though I have been a huge fan of their bags for years. I have been talking about the Extra Pocket way before it became the next it bag. So I really wanted to explore Loro Piana's bags, but it took me a while to find something that I felt I could actually take advantage of. But I actually have a deep dive not only on Loro Piana as a brand, but also on some of my favorite bags from Loro Piana. And this is actually a new launch from them. Sorry guys, let me just adjust the lighting because it is quite, yeah, I think it is a little bit better now. It's not so washed out. The weather has been crazy all day, so the sun keeps disappearing and reappearing from behind the clouds, which means it's quite difficult to film something with natural light. But I didn't want to set up all my studio lights considering that it's a vlog. Anyway, I do have the invoice in here. Let's hope it is going to work out because, as I said, I have not seen this piece before. And it actually comes in the tiniest little box. It is part of the Loro Piana Extra Pocket range, which I do think is one of the most underappreciated luxury bags out there. Well, actually, I don't know if that's true at this point. It definitely used to be. I have always been very impressed with Loro Piana's craftsmanship and the materials that they use. I do think that if you love Hermes's quality, Loro Piana is as close as you can get, at least when it comes to grain skins. When it comes to leathers that are comparable to Epsom, I do think that Moina has some amazing leathers as well, which makes sense considering that both Loro Piana and Moina are owned by LVMH. And I don't think that every single brand should be compared to Hermes. The reason I'm doing it here is because most of you know me for Hermes, so I feel like that's a brand that most of you out there would be familiar with. Anyway, I have always loved the look of the Extra Pocket, but I didn't feel that it was a bag that I would personally be able to take advantage of, especially not these days when I'm not really reaching for my smaller bags. And even though, as you can tell, it is a small bag, I don't think it's something that I would carry on its own. Well, let's find out. I actually love Loro Piana's packaging. I do think that their packaging is the most beautiful luxury packaging out there. I love their ribbons. I love that their ribbon has this sort of rubbery texture to it, and they always come, well, most pieces come with a little cedar bowl, which you can actually reuse in your wardrobe. So if you buy something from Loro Piana, never throw this away. This is not a Christmas ornament. Instead, this is a bowl that's made of cedar wood, so it's supposed to be a natural moth repellent. So always keep this and just hang it in your wardrobe. I didn't realize that a leather piece would come with this, because it's usually knitwear that they will package with the cedar bowl, but I am not complaining. So without further ado, let's get into unboxing this piece. So previously the Extra Pocket was only available in technically four different sizes. So you had the L11.5, which was their micro bag. That bag is no longer in production. Then the next size up is L19, which I do think is the most popular size for the Extra Pocket. It's most comparable to something like a Kelly pochette in terms of how it looks, how it feels, and what it would fit, except it does come with a removable shoulder strap, and you also have the zip closure, which I do think makes these bags feel a lot more relaxed and a lot more casual. It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. I happen to appreciate this design. I don't think it does the same thing as the Kelly pochette. To me, it feels a lot more wearable and a lot more laid back, but I do love the look of it. Then you had the L27, which was actually redesigned earlier this year. So previously all Extra Pockets came with a removable shoulder strap, but the new L27 actually has a permanently attached strap on it, which you can play around with. It's kind of comparable to the strap that you will find on the Constance, in that you can either double it and carry it as a shoulder bag, or you can pull it all the way out and use it as a crossbody bag. However, the strap is a little bit shorter on the L27 now than what it was previously. And they also changed the charms. The charms feel a little bit more substantial on the new bag, and it's also available in different finishes. And then you also have the backpack version of the Extra Pocket, which I am personally not a big fan of. I just don't really like the proportions of that bag. But if you like something along the lines of the Kelly Ado backpack, the Extra Pocket backpack, I think you will appreciate. But you do have to be quite petite to be able to pull off the proportions of that backpack, in my opinion. But since the Extra Pocket has been so popular for the past couple of years, as has Loro Piana, obviously when the whole quiet luxury craze started, Loro Piana really started taking off. Not that previously they were not incredibly successful, because they have a huge cult following. But Loro Piana is the kind of brand that if you know, you know, whereas now it's a lot more popular and a lot more well-known and recognized. And because the Extra Pocket started becoming so popular, they actually cut back on the supply. So some stores now actually have a wait list for the Extra Pocket, which I know some people will not like. I actually appreciate it, because I think it stopped the Extra Pocket from becoming overly popular, and they kind of got ahead of the game before it became too overdone, in my opinion at least. I'm sure marketing is also part of it, cutting back on supply to create more demand and make it feel more exclusive. I don't exactly know what's the case, but I do know that Loro Piana has been really struggling to keep up with the demand. So I'm not sure how much of it is marketing and how much of it is really the brand just needing more time to produce pieces that meet their quality standards, because a lot can be said about Loro Piana. But one thing is for sure, they never cut corners when it comes to sourcing the best materials, and their craftsmanship, it really is top notch, which I mean, you would expect for the price. But since this range has been so popular, they have started introducing additional sizes. So now they have an Extra Pocket for men. Not to say that previously, if you were a man, you couldn't buy these bags. I think you should always buy whatever you like and whatever works with your proportions. But now they have a slightly slimmer take on the Extra Pocket that comes with a removable lanyard. I don't know what's up with brands thinking that if they put a lanyard on a bag, it's going to become a men's bag. But they do have a slightly more compact take on the Extra Pocket, which is part of the men's range, which they do in a handful of different colors, but predominantly black, with actually so black hardware. And it's also offered in black ostrich, which is kind of similar to the Kelly Depeche. I feel like I'm drawing a lot of comparisons between Hermes and Loro Piana, and I'm really not trying to do that on purpose because I actually quite dislike when people always compare everything to Hermes, but at the same time, that's what you guys know me for, and I feel like that's a brand that you will be familiar with. And personally, I do prefer the Extra Pocket pouch over the Kelly Depeche, but that's just my personal preference. They have also introduced a new wallet on chain take on the Extra Pocket. So if you would like something a little bit slimmer and more compact, and a bag that comes with a removable chain, not a leather strap, that might be something that you want to look into, which I think for the quality and for what these pieces will add to your collection, they are reasonably priced. Not to say that they're not insanely expensive, but they are not as bad as some other brands are, or as you would expect from a brand as prestigious as Loro Piana. And then the newest addition to the Extra Pocket family is in here, which as you can tell is a tiny itty bitty cupcake of a bag, but as far as I understand, it is a bag that's actually functional. Now, it's not something that I see myself carrying on its own. However, I do have a plan for this. So let me introduce you to my very first Loro Piana bag, if we can call it that, which is the Extra Pocket. I think it is called the Nano Pouch. It's somewhere between an accessory and a bag. The reason I'm calling it a bag is because it is supposed to be fully functional. Now, my first impression is that the leather is heavenly soft. If you like Togo leather, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, this is as close as you can get to Togo, in my opinion. A lot of people will say that the rose grain skin it feels kind of similar to Togo. To me, this is a lot closer, and the grain on this is absolutely stunning. This is in the color Camo, I believe, and there are two additional shades, both of which are very neutral. So you do have this tiny Extra Pocket, and then you have this beautiful little chain with a D-ring. So I thought that if it doesn't end up looking great as a back charm, which is why I bought it, I was thinking about putting this on one of my larger Birkins or one of my larger tote bags. I could perhaps use this as a key ring. I recently did a video on some of my most used luxury pieces, things that I genuinely go back to time and time again. And by far, one of my most loved and most used pieces is my Louis Vuitton key pouch, which is still in perfect condition. I feel like that piece is a testament to how just durable Louis Vuitton's canvas is. But I thought maybe this is something I could also play around with as a key charm, considering that you can put your keys on here and then use this as an additional bag for cards, keys, and then of course you could also tuck your keys in here if you really wanted to, although I think it would be quite expensive for a key charm. Speaking of price, I will make sure to put the price up here on the screen. I can't remember exactly how much it was. I want to say it was just about 900 euros. It was, I think, 890 euros, something along those lines, but I will make sure to put the price up on the screen here. And as I mentioned, I went for the color Camo. Now let's go ahead and open this. So it does feature the same opening and the same charms as the original Loro Piana bags. And believe it or not, it is fully lined. So it just has the Loro Piana emblem on the inside. It is made in Italy and it is lined with the softest, most buttery smooth skin. And I'm curious to see how many cards I could fit in here. It definitely fits. I would say it would fit a handful of cards. Also your keys, it would also fit a lip balm. So if you're looking for a tiny itty bitty bag just to keep all your essentials close to you, I would not overlook this. I'm really quite impressed by it. You could also put these on your trousers. You could of course also use this as a back charm, which is what I am planning on doing. Kind of playing into this whole over-accessorized bag trend, which in my opinion was pioneered by Jane Birkin herself. I'm not really sure if it's my cup of tea. I think there is a right way of doing it, but over-accessorizing your bags can go one or two ways. It can either look really cool and really just personalized. It can really help personalize your bag, or it can look kind of tacky and just overly busy. I don't know if I could play into it myself. I'm not sure if it's my aesthetic, but I'll definitely try my best, and I'll put in a clip here of what this ended up looking like on my larger Birkin. I think I'm going to put this on my Birkin 35 in black. The only thing I'm nervous about is that this obviously has palladium hardware, whereas that bag is with gold. So I'm not sure, we'll see, and I will let you know in an upcoming video how I decided. Of course, I could always return this because I bought this online and I haven't seen it before, but so far I'm really impressed by this, mainly because of the quality. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised because this is exactly what I expected from Loro Piana, but this is honestly one of the cutest little things. Now, if you find this too small, don't forget that now they're also doing a wallet on chain version of this, which is of course slightly bigger. But if you are a fan of mini bags, it even comes with a tiny little top handle that is fully functional. And since you do have these charms and you have this ring, I could even imagine some people somehow attaching a longer strap to this, but it doesn't come with a longer strap, but it is fully lined and it is a fully functional Quick bag. Update on the Loro Piana pouch. I have just tried it on my Birkin 35 in black and it doesn't really work. While I really love the way the pouch looks on its own, I don't think it's a piece that I would personally carry by itself, and it didn't really work as a back charm. In my opinion, it's just not really my aesthetic. I might play around with it a little bit more, but first impression, it is going to be going back, unfortunately. So let's hope this next piece works out for me, because it's something that I picked up from Cartier. It's something that I bought for myself for getting into college, because in case you didn't know, I am going back to college to get my second bachelor in psychology in September. So in 2 months actually, which is kind of scary that time is flying by so fast. But long story short, I have been thinking about going back to school to get a second bachelor's in clinical psychology for a few years at this point. But I just had this idea in my head of what my life should look like and what the ideal timeline is. I thought, once you go to college, you need to start working, you have to get married, then you have to get kids, then you have to buy a house. And I really thought that life works like that. It would be so linear. And the older I get, the more I realize that that's really not the case. But it still felt like taking a step back in a weird way going back to college. I felt like pivoting was a failure in some shape or form. And I understand cognitively that it's not, but I still had that feeling that if I go back to college, it is going to be taking a step back instead of taking a step forward, which I understand is not the case, but I still felt like it. So for years, I was thinking about doing it, but I really just didn't have the courage to do it. And I tried to satisfy this urge of mine to learn more about psychology by volunteering, which was incredibly rewarding and I loved so much. I even did a part-time course online, but the more I knew about psychology, the more information I got, the more I wanted to do with it and the more I wanted to know. So at the end of last year, I decided that I'm just going to take a step at it and try to go back to college without any support. I didn't have anyone helping me with the application or studying for the test, other than I had a tremendous amount of emotional support from my friends, which I'm so grateful for. So I decided that I wanted to go back to college. I took all the tests that were necessary. I got into college, and now I'm actually going back to school at the beginning of September, which change is always really scary. So I am slightly nervous, but I'm also really excited. So I wanted to treat myself with something for achieving this dream of mine and really going through with it. I have always admired my friends whose parents celebrated their achievement. I unfortunately never had that, not even growing up. And now I don't have parents. So it's really me who needs to celebrate myself. And at the end of the day, you are your biggest cheerleader. So I'm really grateful and also proud that I'm able to do this for myself. And the reason I wanted to kind of explain to you how I landed on this piece is because I want you to also celebrate yourself. Just let this be a little reminder that, you need to be proud of yourself, because you deserve it. Now, it's something that I have been looking at for quite a while, and the reason I decided to get this now is because I love my pinky rings. Obviously, I have a pinky ring from Hermes, which I really love the look of, but I haven't really been able to wear that much because my fingers are a little bit thinner than they used to be, and that ring keeps falling off, and I'm kind of scared of losing it. So I wanted to get myself a new pinky ring, and I decided to get this from Cartier, a piece that I had been looking at for quite a while, but I could never find it in the right color, in the right size. And so when I found this online, I thought I would just order it and try it to see how it goes. It is from one of their more underrated collections. You know that I am not the biggest fan of the Love and the Just Unclear collections at this point. When I first started my luxury journey, I was definitely in the cult of the Cartier Love collections. I bought myself a couple of pieces over the years, but at this point, they are not things that I would wear. They are just not my aesthetic at this point. However, this is an extremely underrated and understated collection from Cartier. Not to say that it's not well known, but I feel like it's not nearly as recognized as some other more popular creations, even though it's something that has been around for probably decades at this point. So the first thing that we have here is, of course, the receipt, and I think we have the certificate of authenticity. Unlike Hermes pieces, Cartier pieces do come with a little card of authenticity, which you might want to hold on to. I mean, I feel like if you want to take your pieces back to Cartier to get them cleaned and polished, I was never asked for these authenticity cards whenever I had my pieces polished and cleaned back in the day, but it might be different now. I was also given one of these care kits, which I haven't got one of these in ages. I mean, I haven't bought anything from Cartier in ages, but you do have a cleansing lotion, you have a microfiber cloth, and then I think you also have a tiny little really soft toothbrush, or just a brush, not a toothbrush, but just a tiny little brush to properly clean your pieces, which is such a nice little treat. And then last but not least, you of course have the beautifully packaged Cartier box in here, which I do love Cartier's packaging, especially their wax stamp. I think there is just something really old school and elegant about it. But let me unwrap this, and without further ado, introduce you to my first Cartier purchase in many years. I really hope that it's going to work out, because I haven't had the chance to try this piece in this size and in this color. But of course, we have the iconic red box, and in here, I wonder if you're surprised by my choice to get this piece. In here, we have the iconic Trinity ring, which usually features 3 different shades of gold. Now, what I found really interesting about the Trinity collection is that there is this theory in psychology on the 3 fundamental elements of love. It's called the triangular theory of love, which says that all relationships in which you have an emotional investment will have 3 different facets that you need to consider, and it's the proportion of each one that determines the quality of the relationship. And the 3 pillars are intimacy, which is the emotional part, then you have commitment, which is the cognitive part, and the last one is passion, which is the physical aspect of relationship. So I'm not exactly sure what these 3 shades of gold stand for, but that's kind of what it reminded me of. Well, this piece doesn't actually feature 3 different shades of gold, but the original Trinity pieces do. They feature 1 band that's in white gold, 1 band that's in rose gold, and the last one is in yellow gold. And these rings at this point come in a ton of different sizes. So the one that I went for is in white gold with a black ceramic band. The reason I decided to go for this instead of the original colorway is because I love my Boucheron ring that also features a dark ceramic detail. That one happens to be brown, but of course, you know that black is my favorite color, although I'm not the biggest fan of white gold. So let's see how this works against my extremely pale complexion. But anyway, what I was saying is that it comes in several different sizes. I went for the classic size, but you can also pick this up in small, classic, large, and there is even extra large. You can pick it up Some of them also feature a band that's set with diamonds. You can also pick it up in a full pave version, which I was going back and forth between this and the one that features a single band with pave diamonds, but I could not justify spending so much money on a Cartier piece at this point, even though I really do like the look of it. So if I end up liking this, I would definitely see myself buying the pave version as well at one point down the line. And then the most recent addition to the Trinity collection is the so-called, I think it's called the Cushion Trinity, which actually features square bands, which is really quite interesting. I don't really like the look of them. I much prefer the original design, but that's basically everything you have to know about the Trinity collection. So let's go ahead and try this on. Now, when I tried these on in the past, they showed me how to do this. So you should put this down on a flat surface and you want to play around with them. And then the way you should put these on, I was told, is you should just put, obviously I have this on it, which I'll cut off if I end up keeping it. The way to put this on is that you should be able to just roll this down onto your finger. Is it too small? I ended up buying this in the smallest size, in size 46, because the pinky ring I have from Hermes, I want to say is in size 47, and as I mentioned, it is a little bit too big, but it is obviously a completely different shape. But I think it might be too big. Let's try again. So you put this down on a flat surface. You should just kind of wiggle them around and then they should all fall in place. I was told, at least. Obviously, I'm not an expert. And then you put this on your finger and you should be able to just roll it down. It is too tight. Yep. So I might have to go into store to try on a bigger size, but I'm pretty sure last time I tried it, which was in the original colorway, not the black version, I was a 46. Is it possible that it's because of this security tag? I don't want to take it off because if it's too small, then I cannot return it. Yeah, I think it might be too small. Well, that is a shame after my big speech on how excited I am to get this piece, but it is what it is. I guess it just wasn't meant to be. And I mean, I'm just going to go into store and try on a bigger size. And if they have it, I'm sure I can just exchange it. But I feel like, no, I feel like I should be able to put it on. Okay, here we go. It is just a little bit tricky because you just have to get the hang of it. But I remember them showing me how to do it in store. You should put them on a flat surface, wiggle them around so they fall in place. And then you should be able to just roll them onto your finger. But I do think it is a little bit small. I mean, it might not be small. It might just be this security tag because you wouldn't think, but it adds quite a bit of, it just fills up the gap between the ring and my finger. So maybe I'll try this on in store. Maybe I'll take this in and ask them to help me judge whether this is the right size or not. What do you guys think about the look? I don't know if I'm a fan of white gold with the black ceramic. Yeah, I think what I'm going to have to do, I didn't want to go into store. I wanted to just make it as easy on me as possible. I just wanted to get this online, but I might have to go into store because I do want to try on a size bigger and I might want to see the original colorway as well. But it does have Cartier really subtly sort of engraved on one of the bands. And then, as I mentioned, it features 2 white gold bands and 1 black ceramic band. But this is what it looks like. I'm not sure if it's going to focus on the ring or because it can see my eyes, it will just continue focusing on me. I'll definitely do some close-ups for you so you can see it up close and personal. Long story short, if you are looking to invest in a piece of jewelry from Cartier, I would not overlook the Trinity collection. I know it's incredibly understated, but I do think that it is a classic for a reason. And to me, this is one of those pieces that might have been out for many years. It still feels timeless and like a classic. Well, it might not be going back if I cannot take this off. No, here we go. I've got it. And last but most certainly not least, I recently got a package from one of my favorite brand for basic t-shirts, which is Organic Basics. I wanted to show you their envelope because I am just such a big fan of everything this brand does, including their packaging. I love their fonts. I love their characters. I even love their merch. I'm usually not big on brand merch, but their merch I really do love, which is not surprising because they are from Copenhagen and Copenhagen is one of my favorite cities and most of my favorite brands tend to be from the Nordics, so it's no surprise that I love them, but I am a huge fan. And the reason I thought I would share with you these pieces now is because they are actually doing their summer sale. So most things you can get at a pretty decent discount, and their pieces are reasonably priced to begin with, but if you can get them at a discount, why wouldn't you? So this is a brand, as the name suggests, specializes in doing basics made of organic cotton. And their cotton, I mean, it's cotton like you've never felt it before. Their cotton pieces are heavenly soft, and they do some of the best cuts for t-shirts. So I have two t-shirts here, both in white, because I do love a good white t-shirt. I don't think I wear white t-shirts on camera that often, and that's purely because they tend to wash me out when I'm sitting in front of all the studio lights. But whenever I'm not filming, I live in black and white t-shirts, and their t-shirts are just top notch. So I have two t-shirts here, which I'll definitely have to do some mod shots so you can see the difference. But I have their True Crew here, which is their most basic style of t-shirt, but don't think it's comparable just to a t-shirt that you would find at, you know, a fast fashion brand. The cuts are so beautifully done. They are not slim fit, but they are not oversized either. They just have the perfect shape to them. The fabrics they use are, of course, ethically sourced. They are ethically made, and they use organic cotton, and the feel is just heavenly soft. The closest thing I could compare them to is my Skims t-shirt, but the Skims t-shirts are a little bit thinner, and they have almost like a velvety feel to them, which means that they can cling, whereas these are just buttery soft. And I not only love the fits themselves, the fabrics, and the colors they come in, but I also really appreciate how wide and high the necklines are, because that means that you can wash these over and over again. They will not sag and droop, which I think is the telltale sign of an inexpensive t-shirt, when you can see the color drooping and sagging, and that will never happen with these. You can wash these and the quality will really stand the test of time. So I do have their True Crew, which is a really perfectly fitted straight cut t-shirt, and then I have their newer launch, which I think is this one. This is their so-called Boxy Crew, which is slightly more oversized, but it's not overwhelming in any shape or form. I mean, if you love a really oversized t-shirt, you can go up in size, but I am a size small in both of these. I also tried the extra small, and they were just a little bit too tight. So small is my size in this brand, and since they are on sale, most of their pieces are on sale, I'm definitely going to be stocking up on these. Now, when I was sent these t-shirts, they also gave me a discount code. This is not being sponsored by them in any shape or form. They have no idea that I'm going to be mentioning their pieces in this video, but they did give me a discount code, which, as far as I understand, should also work on top of sale pieces. So if you would like to stock up on some incredibly made basics that you will get a ton of wear out of, this is the time to do it. I'll make sure to leave the discount code up on the screen and also in the info box. Again, it's not sponsored. The brand has no idea that I'm doing this, but I really wanted to mention them here because I am genuinely a huge fan, and it is something that I am personally going to be stocking up on in the next day or so before my favorite colors sell out. My friends, thank you for hanging out with me. I almost said this morning, but it's not really the morning anymore. So thank you for spending some time with me today. I hope you enjoyed unboxing some new pieces and also getting a little sneak peek into my morning routine. I would consider this a pretty successful haul. I mean, the pouch didn't end up working out for me, and the ring, the size, I might have to play around with. But overall, I'm really happy that we got to spend some time together, and a big thank you to JOVS Beauty for working with me on a portion of today's video. If you would like to give their hair removal device a try too, make sure that you check out my info box. I will have a link to their page as well as a discount code down there for you, so you can do a little bit more research and give them a try. I can tell you I have been really impressed by the results, and I will definitely continue using the device. And if you would like to get an update from me, let me know. And also, if you have any questions on any one of the pieces, you can always find me in the comment section down below. And while you're down there, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. I really appreciate you being here and watching, and I cannot wait to see you back here with a new video really, really soon.